Welcome. Hello parents and carers and welcome to the Diverse Art Children's Museum. In order to help you and your children get the best experience from our museum, we have created this information booklet to help you plan your visit and tell you everything you need to know to get the most out of our museum when visiting with a young person with special education needs. You may be wondering, what exactly is a children's museum? Well, a children's museum is a family-centered institution that focuses on play experiences and informal education. Although children's museums usually focus on science, we focus on children's art and children's books. We are a participatory museum combining traditional art galleries with active play environments. Our beliefs. Here at the Diverse Art Children's Museum, we believe that art can be a valuable form of self-expression for all people and that everyone deserves to have the opportunity to view art and be inspired. Our aim is to be as inclusive as we can. As parents of children with special educational needs, you have likely heard this before. Schools, universities, or cultural facilities often claim to be inclusive but only provide a small gesture such as an accessible toilet or a ramp, which provide nothing more than access. Inclusivity is often used as a buzzword without anyone really questioning its meaning. These small gestures are often just a way to attract more customers or students. Making important changes to an environment to make it truly inclusive is rare. Here at the Diverse Art Children's Museum, we want everyone to feel a sense of belonging as soon as they arrive here, as we understand this may not always be the case for those with disabilities. This is how we know that it is not enough for us to create an accessible building for your children with disabilities, but also to encourage a sense of belonging. This is why we have signed up to the Cultural Inclusion Manifesto. What are our aims? 1. To create an environment which moves beyond simply bringing people together and is truly inclusive to all who wish to come along and experience art. 2. To challenge ourselves and our museum into doing ethical work, good work, honest work, moral work, until we are so used to doing it that it becomes second nature. 3. To act as what is known as a cultural vigilante, which is where we look for the ableist attitudes, negative attitudes towards people with disabilities, and things working against people with disabilities, and draw attention to how they are creating exclusion within the art world. 4. To help children with disabilities experience art, improving how much they are able to learn and growing their confidence to take learning into their own hands. It is important to note here that our work in achieving these goals will never be complete. Our ethical project is never-ending and not simply a goal to tick off and forget about. We must always be trying to meet these goals and continue to look at ourselves and improve upon ourselves. Ableism. You may or may not have heard of the word ableism, but you will have likely heard of similar concepts such as racism, homophobia, and sexism. Ableism is the beliefs and attitudes towards people with disabilities by society based off how we feel about human bodies. For example, believing stereotypes towards people with disabilities. So what does ableism have to do with art? It is important to crip art education, which means to bring in the experiences of disabled people to gain from them. Their knowledge is put at the center. There are two ways we do this. Firstly, since art is a form of expressing experiences, we display art by artists with disabilities. Secondly, many of our tour guides and staff are disabled people. They are available to present the art to you too and share their own experiences in relation to the art. This is an important step in redesigning an art institution that all people can get involved with. Here at the Diverse Art Children's Museum, we know how art education could be pushing out people with disabilities by only showing art by artists with no disabilities and without autism. The reason that many museums show art that's not by people with disabilities is not because it is any worse. It is because the traits that make art good enough to be in a museum is decided by the art institution. These rules on what makes art worthy is usually decided when the gatekeepers, the people who make up the rules, look at the art negatively as they follow a plan based off ableist beliefs. So, instead of looking at different kinds of art by people with different abilities and different brains, they stick to their old agreement on what makes good art, which does not include anything new or unique. This is why the Diverse Art Children's Museum has all kinds of art by artists whose brains and bodies work in their own unique way. Why have we decided to become inclusive? At the Diversity Art Museum, we feel a responsibility to create an inclusive environment for all, as people with disabilities have the right to get involved with all society has to offer, including its art institutions. After all, anti-discrimination legislation has made clear that a child with disabilities does not have to go to a special needs school, and since the Cultural Inclusion Manifesto says that cultural institutions are related to schools, we feel that we should follow this legislation too. Another reason for going inclusive is that when disability goes unnoticed by society, also known as a normative positivism, or when disability is made clear but is ignored anyway, known as a non-normative negativism, we lose our opportunity to gain from disability, known as a non-normative positivism. Our different ways of seeing the world are equal and should be celebrated. After all, if we live long enough, we will all become disabled, and so we should learn from each other's experiences. We understand that what happens on the outside, in the child's home and school, their opportunities or lack of opportunities, affect what happens on the inside, feelings, emotions, how they think. How much a child can learn can grow, and having a chance to go to cultural institutions could mean they can now learn more and help them gain confidence. Someone who is blind can learn to create art with as much detail and beauty as an artist with sight if they want their art to look that way. People who are blind often do not get the chance to experience art in cultural institutions. It is often behind ropes or glass. Art is experienced by looking only. It wasn't always this way. Museums used to encourage touch as a way to pick up on the details that eyes cannot see. This is what we want to get back to here at Diverse Art Children's Museum. Our art is to be experienced with all senses to get a better understanding of the art. Of course, we cannot change everything we wish to change, as the negative opinions in society towards disabled people are powerful. We will do what we can to be inclusive even in the face of problems. How are we becoming inclusive? So, how have we taken theory and put into practice in our museum? We first began to look at ourselves and our museum and determine our ethical substance, or simply put, we had to find things we were not doing well and work on improving them. We think about how we can improve confidence, create a sense of belonging, and make the museum accessible to help people's learning capacity grow. This is what we have came up with. Toilets on all floors that are fully accessible. No stairs throughout the museum. Seating throughout the museum. Ear defenders available to prevent sensory overload. Just ask the front desk. Mobility scooters available to borrow. Sensory exhibits including smell, touch, and sound. Water bowls for guide dogs on each floor. Interactive video exhibits with sign language. A room with a hoist and changing bed. Staff are fluent in British Sign Language. A private quiet room for guests to go when feeling overwhelmed. Ramps, blue badge and parent parking. Loop sound system. We employ staff with various degrees of ability, who all receive regular training on being inclusive. If you can think of any way we can improve or help you, please let us know. Our mini artist activities. The Cultural Inclusion Manifesto states that young people should feel empowered to participate to get the most out of the experience. This is why we have created fun activities for your children to get stuck into. We adjust the task for each individual child to focus on what they can do instead of what they cannot do. One of the activities that we have to offer is sculpture making. Children will be encouraged to explore different objects in the museum with and then recreate them using clay. Children may use their hands or other body parts to explore the objects, or have the object described to them. This tactile activity shows children how to explore their sense of touch and have a better understanding of how people with sight impairments can see. There will be staff on hand to assist any children with motor difficulties with creating their sculpture. The second activity we offer is jewelry making. Your children will love threading colorful beads through threads to make necklaces, bracelets, or even decorations for their wheelchair. We provide larger textured beads for easy grip and thicker rope for children with difficulties with fine motor skills, and as always there is a staff member there to assist. The final activity we offer is working on a canvas. Each child gets their own canvas to work on, and we have a variety of tools to help them create. Our art tools are specially adapted to support children with physical disabilities, making each paint brush or pencil easier to grip and move and helping children become independent. For those children who need further assistance with their painting, we have a communication board and staff members available to help. Neoliberalism. Here at the Diverse Art Museum, we believe that we are currently living in neoliberal society, that is, a society which is based around making money, where a person's worth depends on whether they make money, and children are seen as future workers, having the ability to work and make. Money may seem like an innocent enough concept, as most people do want abilities of some kind to support themselves. However, this focus on who can work and who can't can become a problem when a person's value depends on their abilities or lack of abilities. People with disabilities who do not make money threaten neoliberalism and are quickly found and treated for their impairment. You may be wondering what neoliberalism has to do with your child or our museum. They are related because neoliberalist beliefs affect society's relationship with art. Since subjects such as maths, science and technology studies are more closely linked with careers that earn more money, these subjects are seen as more important than the arts in the education system's curriculum, the list of what children learn and for how long. This can be a problem because art is a subject everyone can get into. Students should feel like they are involved in their learning instead of feeling as though it is something being done to them. Many students may not be interested in these neoliberal-approved subjects. When a school is cut off from the interests of the students, known as encapsulation of school learning, it prevents them from growing their ability to learn. Universal design. All too often when buildings are designed, they are done so without disabled people in mind, with those with disabilities becoming an afterthought. Here at Diverse Art Children's Museum, our building is designed with all body types in mind by using universal design. The key to universal design is where the building is accessible to as many different people as possible. without needing adjustments, meaning no more entering the building through a side door to fit your wheelchair, or taking the lift while others take the stairs. Making sure that all types of bodies have 100% access to our building is one of the ways. We are following the Cultural Inclusion Manifesto as it helps to ensure availability of enriching cultural experiences to all. Please let us know if you need any help reading this document.